One of the reasons why I suggest that you limit the amount that you practice as you're developing endurance is because you can start to, towards the end of each practice session, you'll be doing all kinds of stuff, and and you're not even paying attention. You don't even notice it, so you'll be developing bad habits. So you're by the end of your practice session, you're like this, and that's because it takes a certain amount of endurance and actually muscle strength to maintain proper posture as you're playing, and you have to develop that over time. So 30 minutes is probably all you want to practice in the beginning when you're getting your flute, when where you're at right now. 30 minutes is enough. Beyond that, you'll start doing weird stuff, and actually 30 minutes might be too long. So that's one of the things I tend to suggest is to limit your practice time, and then once you start to get more endurance, then you can start increasing practice time. But the thing is that that's not really any different than what I would tell a saxophone player. I might tell a saxophone player not as much for purposes of posture, although I may suggest that, to aid in developing good good habits as far as posture goes. But as far as like just mental energy and your ability to really focus well on whatever it is that you're doing, because if you're always trying to push the envelope, you're always trying to press and progress and all of that, but if you're gone way beyond where the line is, you're not really doing anything. You're not really generating any lasting effect on your playing. And sometimes you can practice beyond a certain period of time, and maybe you're still in that practice session, you still feel like things are still improving, you're still working something out. The problem is that when you go back, you're not going to retain that progress. Yeah. So anyhow, so that's particularly important when you're I don't like the term doubles, but when you're getting your doubles together, it's particularly important to make sure that you're not going significantly beyond what you're able, what you're capable of doing with good habits.
Yeah.
So you were talking about, and this, I noticed this, like the longer that we play, the more that you're having trouble keeping this together.
Yeah.
And that's another one of those things. It's like, okay, now we're in a lesson right now, and I want to see that. I want to see when that's happening. But that's somewhat of an indication of how much endurance you've developed, how much time you're actually spending practicing. And I think we talked about the practice routine for your flute. You're always going to play long tones.
Yeah.
Always some kind of harmonic series exercises.
I kind of do them like right before I go to sleep, which is, or It depends. Like, really want to have like downtime at home. And
Yeah.
Not like super loud, but yeah.
So always
Especially
one,
when
always
you're-
harmonic series exercises, and then you're still getting used to the fingerings on the instrument. So chromatic scales is important.
Yeah.
Playing all of your major scales, 2 octaves at first,
Mhm.
and then same thing as you would do on saxophone, full range. Um, and like I was saying, tonguing exercises. That's something that I spend a good amount of time. That's something that I do every time I practice flute. I will do some kind of double or triple tonguing exercise. And usually, what I do in pinch is I'll play major scales 2 octaves, double tonguing.
So you're double tonguing, you're going.
Tucka, 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 double. You know, there's triple tikata, tikata, tikata.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's different accent points that you could use. I tend to just do double tonguing. I haven't found for me personally triple tonguing to be particularly faster.
Yeah, I haven't really
It's just
found it either.
It's just another access point, another sound in your mouth to try to master in conjunction with the others. It's interesting because now technically, if you use the right access points, 3 would be faster than 2, because the analogy is when I'm playing bass, I use 3 fingers, and I use 3 fingers because 3 is faster than 2. But you can play incredibly fast with 2.
Yeah.
Jocko played with 2.
Yeah.
Patitucci plays with 2. So it's not that there's like some significant limitation if you only use 2, but the fact is that 3 is faster than 2.
Yeah.
And then also when you sort of get into string skipping, 3 becomes an advantage, and so that's why I started doing that. And my teacher, my first teacher, bass teacher, Scott Gold, he plays with 3.
Oh.
And so I was like, okay, you're playing with 3, and let me see if I can play with 3. Now, what he told me was, 2 is fine. You can play with 2 for a while, and I did learn how to play with 2, but it was pretty fast that I pretty quickly I started playing with 3. So I think
playing with 3.
yeah. Well, it's
That's
totally possible. So it totally logically is the case that 3 may be potentially faster than 2.
Yeah.
As far as a triple or double tonguing, but I haven't found that my tongue is the limitation in speed. I found that my fingers are the limitation in speed.
Yeah.
So I can tongue as fast as I can do this, but I can't necessarily do this faster than I can double tongue.
Yeah.
At least the kinds of things that I would double tongue.
Yeah.
So now one of the challenges that double tonguing causes is whenever you're playing like a triplet. So say if I'm double tonguing a passage, and it's a mixture of triplets, eighth notes, maybe some 16th notes, whatever it is. The triplets is going to cause a polyrhythm between the double tonguing and the fingers.
Yeah.
So now that doesn't bother me. I've worked it out so that doesn't bother me. It doesn't matter if I'm starting on T or Ka. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But that could create an issue, and triple tonguing may be a solution for that issue. So whenever you get to a place where you have
like
triplets,
Charlie Parker, like da 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 da.
Yeah. So if you're going tika ta, so tika ta ta. So if I was like tika ta tika ta taka 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 tika ta taka 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 taka, that kind of thing where I'm accounting for the 3, and then I can still stay with even groupings with the double tonguing.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
And are you double tonguing or with the, I guess basically with the mechanics of flute, right? When you're playing stuff like this, you're generally mostly single tonguing, right? Or if you're playing like a double time line, are you kind of using the sunny state articulation, or you double tongue?
Yeah, it's like a sunny state articulation when I'm doing that. Yeah, it's a sunny state articulation.
Yeah.
The thing is on, so with the way that the mechanics work, the tongue is not quite, because I talk about clipping pretty hard. Do what, like when you're playing saxophone, because I want to make sure that the tongue is hitting the reed where it needs to.
Yeah.
But obviously there's no reed here.
Yeah.
Do. So I'm still, so it's more of a do on flute, and on saxophone it's more of a do, right? Because my tongue has to have contact. Whereas all I need to do is stop the air on flute.
Yeah.
Do. So do ah. So the difference between ah and do is where where it makes it seem like I'm tonguing every note.
You're doing that with your tongue, right? Like do
Right.
do.
So I'm closing off the air. Do. I'm right. The air is getting closed off by the tongue. Do what? Some of this mechanical stuff is not on the forefront of my brain.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's tongue that's doing that. Do it. But I'm not, for instance, sticking my tongue in the hole or something.
Yeah.
Or it's more that the tongue is stopping the air from coming out of my mouth altogether.
Yeah.
You know, and the transition between ooh and da is naturally creating that stoppage of air.
Yeah.
Which creates that little bit of daylight, which gives the illusion of the tonguing every note.
Yeah.
You know. So anyhow.